Dear friend, have you ever poured all your energy, all your love, all your hope into holding on to something, only to find yourself, in the end, exhausted, heartbroken, and empty-handed? Perhaps it was a relationship that no longer nurtured your growth, or a job that drained your spirit while you convinced yourself it was your purpose. Or maybe it was something more subtle, an expectation, a silent belief that life should unfold exactly the way you had planned. And then one day, when everything began to slip through your fingers, you whispered to yourself, "Why is it that the tighter I hold, the more I seem to lose?" Today, we are not walking into philosophy or doctrine, we are stepping into something much more intimate. This is a journey into the quiet art of letting go and the gentle wisdom of trusting in life's unfolding. This path does not lead you to some distant place far from here, it leads you inward, back to the original stillness within your own heart. So I invite you to stay with me until the very end. This video carries not just insight, but a shift in perspective, one that may gently open a new door within you. And if you find resonance in these words, I encourage you to subscribe to this channel, leave a comment to share your reflection, and help bring this message to others who may be quietly searching for the same peace. Let us walk this path together, with presence, with tenderness, and with open hands. There is a quiet but persistent misunderstanding that lingers in many hearts, even among those walking the spiritual path. It is the mistaken belief that letting go means giving up. That to release attachment is to become cold, distant, or indifferent to life. That if you no longer cling to what you love, you are somehow less human, less compassionate, less alive. But true letting go, as understood in the light of Buddhist wisdom, is not a rejection of life, it is an embrace of its true nature. It is not abandoning the world, but ceasing to cling to illusions about it. It is not indifference, but awakening, a profound shift in how we relate to everything that comes and goes. When you begin to let go, something remarkable happens. You do not feel less love, you feel more. But it is a freer kind of love, one that does not bind or demand. You do not stop caring, you simply stop suffering because of your care. You do not turn away from the world, you begin to see it clearly, as it really is, impermanent, flowing, ever-changing. Letting go is not a withdrawal, it is a return. A return to presence, to stillness, to the deep truth that what comes will come, and what goes must go, and none of it can define who you are. I once witnessed this truth in the form of a simple story, a moment from the life of a young monk in a remote mountain monastery of northern India. He was a diligent student, humble, devoted, and sincere in practice. After a year of disciplined meditation and service, his master gifted him a small jade Buddha, delicate, green, radiant in its simplicity. "Keep this statue," the master said gently, "as you would keep your own mind." The monk did just that. He kept it by his side during morning chanting, placed it on his altar during meditation, and wrapped it in silk each night. The statue became a symbol to him, of his path, his worth, and his connection to his master. But one morning, while meditating beside a river, the statue slipped from his robe and vanished into the current. The young monk jumped up in panic, his breath caught in his chest, his heart racing. He searched, cried out, even prepared to dive into the cold water. But his master, who had been sitting quietly nearby, spoke only this: "If your peace is lost when a statue disappears, it was never true peace to begin with." The monk froze. The words pierced deeper than the cold water ever could. In that moment, he understood, not intellectually, but viscerally, what letting go meant. We think we are protecting what we love by clinging to it. But in truth, the tighter we hold, the more fragile our peace becomes. Letting go is not the end of love. It is the purification of it. A kind of love that is unconditional, untethered, whole. When we let go, we stop confusing form for essence. We begin to see that the statue was never the Buddha. The relationship is not the love. The job is not the purpose. The body is not the self. And by seeing this, we are freed. Letting go is the art of holding with open hands. It is the ability to fully receive what life offers, and fully release it when the time comes, without fear, without resistance. It is like the sky embracing the clouds, allowing them to come and go without ever trying to possess them. And yet, letting go is not easy. Why? Because the ego finds its comfort in holding on. It builds identity around what it owns, who it loves, how others see it, and what it controls. To let go feels like death to the ego, and in many ways, it is. But what dies is not your true self, only the illusions that kept you bound. When you begin to let go, you may grieve, not just for what was lost, but for the version of yourself that believed it was necessary to hold on so tightly. But if you stay with that grief, if you breathe through the ache, you will arrive at something deeper than comfort. You will arrive at clarity. You will see that peace is not the absence of loss, but the absence of grasping. And in that absence, life flows freely again. Letting go does not mean doing nothing. It does not mean giving up. It means doing your best, with your whole heart, and then releasing the outcome. It means loving someone deeply, but not needing them to stay. It means working with passion, but not tying your worth to success. It means walking with presence, not dragging the past behind you or racing toward a future you cannot control. In every breath, there is an invitation to let go. Every exhale is a reminder that release is natural, that nothing needs to be forced, and nothing lasts forever. Letting go is the practice of spiritual maturity. It is the movement from fear to trust, from control to surrender, from grasping to grace. And when you let go, truly let go, not out of bitterness, but out of clarity, you do not become less alive. You become more real, more whole, more spacious. Because in that sacred space where clinging ends, freedom begins. And in that freedom, you will find not emptiness, but everything. Everything that comes into our lives, and everything that leaves, happens for a reason. Even if we cannot see it now, life has a rhythm far deeper than our immediate understanding. Often, what we call a loss is actually a form of protection. What we label as failure is only a redirection. And many times, what we try so hard to hold on to is precisely what we are being asked, gently, compassionately, to let go of. Have you ever looked back and realized that something which once broke your heart later became the doorway to something greater? A person loses the job they had spent years building, and through that emptiness, they discover a passion they had long buried. A young woman endures heartbreak and thinks it is the end of love, but that ending creates the space where someone truly worthy can arrive. We are so quick to judge life's events as good or bad, lucky or unlucky, success or failure. But that quick judgment comes from our impatience, our need to control, our fear of not knowing. The deeper truth is this: we see only fragments, but life unfolds in wholes. There is an old story passed down in villages near the monasteries of Asia, about a humble old farmer who lived near the edge of a forest. One morning, a beautiful wild horse wandered into his field. The villagers came running. "What great fortune!" they cried. But the old man, calm and composed, simply replied, "Maybe." Days later, the farmer's nephew, a boy who helped him with his work, tried to ride the horse and fell, breaking his leg. Again the villagers gathered. "What terrible misfortune!" But the old man only said, "Maybe." Not long after, A war broke out, and soldiers came to conscript all able-bodied young men in a village. All were taken, except the boy, whose broken leg spared him. The villagers, once more, came to the farmer in awe. "You are so lucky?" And once again, the old man answered, "Maybe." He wasn't being evasive. He was being wise. He had learned what many of us forget, that we do not always know what is truly good or bad in the moment. That life's design is greater than our immediate comfort. That every joy may contain sorrow, and every sorrow may carry within it the seed of awakening. Letting go means not forcing things to fit our story. It means trusting that things are unfolding exactly as they should, even when we don't understand. It is not laziness or passivity, it is humility. The humility to recognize that our vision is limited, and that peace does not come from controlling the outcome, but from surrendering to the flow of causes and conditions, what we call Zhu Kai. Sometimes, what you wanted to keep was not meant to stay. And what seemed lost was never truly gone, it was just returning to where it belonged. You do not need to name every moment. You do not need to know whether something is good or bad. You only need to breathe, to stay present, and to allow life to reveal its deeper purpose in time. Because everything that comes when you are ready. And everything that leaves when its teaching is done. That is the gentle, quiet wisdom of letting go. Letting go is not a single moment of awakening, nor is it a distant spiritual goal we one day achieve. It is a practice, humble, quiet, and daily. It lives not in monasteries or mountaintops, but in the very fabric of our ordinary lives, in how we speak, how we breathe, how we respond to the things we cannot control. Every day offers us small invitations to let go. When someone interrupts you mid-sentence and your ego tightens, that is a moment to soften. When plans change unexpectedly, and frustration rises, that is a moment to accept. When you feel the urge to check your phone again and again, craving distraction or approval, that is a moment to return to stillness. Letting go is not about grand gestures. It is about subtle choices. When you pause before reacting. When you listen more than you speak. When you let someone else have the final word, not because you're weak, but because peace matters more than being right. These small, invisible moments are where the practice lives. You might think letting go means giving up your dreams, your boundaries, your direction in life, but that is a misunderstanding. Letting go does not mean passivity. It does not mean you stop caring. It means you care with freedom, not attachment. You plant seeds with love, but you don't grip the soil and demand that the tree grow on your schedule. A parent practices letting go every time they trust their child's path, even if it differs from their own. A teacher practices it when they release control and allow the student to struggle, to fail, to learn through experience. A healer practices it by offering presence, not promises. And you, in your daily life, can practice it by gently loosening the knots inside yourself, the tightness of expectation, the strain of perfection, the need to have it all figured out. There is a beautiful kind of letting go in how we relate to time. When you stop rushing, you begin to see. When you are no longer enslaved by the clock or calendar, you taste freedom in each moment. Some things take time to unfold, and the practice is not in speeding them up, but in trusting their rhythm. Like a flower that only blooms when the sun and soil are ready, not when we command it to. And perhaps most importantly, letting go in daily life means releasing the endless storylines we carry about ourselves. That we are not enough. That we must always do more, prove more, be more. These thoughts are heavy. And though they feel familiar, they are not truth. The truth is quieter, kinder. It says, you are already whole, even in your imperfection. You are already worthy, even in your becoming. To let go, then, is not to become someone else. It is to return, again and again, to who you already are beneath the clinging. Not a perfect being, but a present one. Aware. Awake. Willing to meet life as it is. Letting go in daily life is not a burden. It is a blessing. It is the art of lightening your load, not by discarding your responsibilities, but by releasing your resistance. It is walking the same path, but with softer steps. It is living the same day, but with more space in your breath, more room in your heart. So today, and every day, you can ask yourself gently, what can I release now? A thought? A tension? A fear? You don't have to let go of everything at once. Just one small thread. Just one knot loosened. Just one burden set down. And when you do, even for a breath, even for a moment, you will feel it. That quiet freedom. That return to presence. That simple truth. This is enough. I am enough. And this moment, just as it is worthy of my full attention. Letting go is not a loss of direction, it is the recovery of trust. It is the shift from trying to force life to follow your will, to allowing life to unfold in its own perfect rhythm. Many of us have been taught that to be in control is to be safe. That if we can just manage every detail, hold every string, tighten every bolt, then maybe, just maybe, we won't get hurt. But this is not true security. This is tension masquerading as power. This is fear wearing the mask of responsibility. Control exhausts the spirit. It pulls us out of the present and into endless calculations of what should happen, what might go wrong, what must not be allowed. It tightens the jaw, furrows the brow, and keeps the heart in a state of quiet war with the world. Letting go, on the other hand, is not giving up. It is giving in, not to defeat, but to reality. It is saying, I no longer need to grip this so tightly. I no longer believe that peace comes from making life obey me. I choose instead to move with life, not against it. There is a story told in the forest monasteries of Southeast Asia. A traveler once came upon a monk meditating beside a river. They stood together in silence, watching the water move, gently, persistently, without struggle. After a while, the monk said, "Do you see how the river never resists the rock? It bends. It flows around. And yet it arrives. Always, it arrives." The traveler asked, "So I should be passive, like water?" The monk smiled. "Not passive," he said. "Available. Open. Trusting." This is what letting go truly means, to meet life like water meets the earth, not rigid, not resigned, but responsive and alive. It is the strength of surrender, not because you are powerless, but because you have discovered where true power lies, not in controlling every outcome, but in remaining steady, clear, and compassionate no matter what comes. We cannot always choose what happens to us. We cannot predict which doors will open, who will stay, or how long something will last. But we can choose how we meet each moment. We can choose trust over tension, breath over panic, presence over perfection. To let go is to trust that the unknown is not your enemy, it is your teacher. That not everything you plan is meant to happen, and not everything that happens was meant to be planned. That there is wisdom at work in this world far beyond your ability to manage or explain. Trust is not naive. Trust is not passive. Trust is deeply intelligent. It says, I will do what I can, with sincerity, with effort, with love, and I will release the rest. I will not waste my energy on what I cannot change. I will not try to push the river upstream. I will learn to float. This does not mean you become careless. It means you become careful, full of care, but free from fear. You live with intention, not with obsession. You show up fully, but you do not confuse showing up with holding on. And when things don't go your way, when the job ends, when the person leaves, when the news isn't what you hoped, you bow. You breathe. You bless the moment anyway. Because you know that life is not here to always please you, it is here to awaken you. Letting go is the art of sacred participation. You show up. You engage. But you don't possess. You pour your heart into your work, into your relationships, into your dreams, and then, like the archer who releases the arrow, you let it fly, knowing its flight is no longer in your hands. And that, too, is love. To practice letting go is not only to release the world, its people, its possessions, its unpredictability, but also to release the harshness we carry toward ourselves. Because sometimes, the heaviest burden is not what life has done to us, but what we have done to ourselves. And more than that, the way we continue to hold it, long after it's gone. There was once a young man who came to a monk, weeping with shame. "I regret so much," he said. "The things I've said, the harm I've caused. I can't forgive myself." The monk said nothing at first. He simply pointed up to the sky. "Do you see those clouds?" he asked. "Once, they were heavy with storm, thunder, darkness. And now? They drift, light, silent, harmless. So why do you keep clutching a storm that already passed?" In that moment, the boy understood. Not fully, not all at once, but something softened. Letting go is not just about others. It is also about how tightly we punish ourselves. We think that if we suffer enough, we can undo the harm. That if we carry guilt long enough, we are somehow being righteous. But guilt is not purification. Shame is not redemption. You cannot walk forward while dragging a bag of stones called my old mistakes. Yes, we must take responsibility. Yes, we must acknowledge when we have hurt others, when we have acted in ignorance or fear. But there is a difference between responsibility and self-cruelty. Self-forgiveness is not denial, it is the beginning of healing. It is the moment you say to yourself, "I will no longer define myself by who I was in my worst hour. I will not stay trapped in the version of me that didn't yet know better. I will allow myself to grow." Just as the tree that lost its leaves in winter still dares to bloom again in spring, you too have permission to begin again. This is compassion, not the kind you extend to others from afar, but the kind you bring home to your own heart. To treat yourself not as the enemy, but as the wounded friend who needs your understanding most. Letting go of self-blame is not forgetting. It is remembering in a different way, with wisdom instead of wounds, with softness instead of scars. It is allowing the past to teach, without allowing it to tyrannize. There is no value in constantly reopening a wound that is already trying to heal. There is no virtue in refusing to move on. If you truly regret, then change. Let the pain make you kinder, not smaller. Let it deepen your insight, not close your heart. And when the old guilt returns, as it sometimes will, speak to it gently. Say, "I see you. I honor the lesson. But I no longer need to carry you to prove that I've learned." The world does not benefit from your shame. It benefits from your awakening, from your clarity, from your courage to transform pain into presence, regret into wisdom, and fear into love. So be kind to yourself. This, too, is letting go. And so, dear one, we arrive at the heart of the matter, not with answers carved in stone, but with a new kind of space within us. A space where holding on is no longer mistaken for strength, where letting go is no longer seen as loss, but as clarity. Perhaps what you've been searching for all along was never something to possess, but something to release. Perhaps freedom was never in what you could gain, but in what you could surrender. Letting go does not mean we love less, it means we love with less fear. It does not mean we stop caring, it means we stop controlling. And in that gentle loosening, we return to something profoundly honest and deeply alive, the present moment, unburdened and awake. If something in this video touched you, a line, a silence, a feeling you couldn't quite name, I invite you to share it in the comments. What are you ready to let go of? Let your words become part of someone else's healing. And if you wish to continue this journey with us, to keep coming home to yourself, one breath at a time, please subscribe to this channel. Your presence here is not just seen, it is deeply valued. Until we meet again in the next reflection, may you walk lightly, may you rest deeply, and may you remember always. You do not need to hold anything, to be whole.